What is up, guys? It's good to be back. I've been gone for a while. You'll have to excuse me, I got a little bit of a cold, so I'm a little sniffly. But I've been gone for a bit, wanted to give you a little bit of an update on what I've been up to. This is a little different from what we normally have on the channel, but since we are an outdoors channel, this is pretty relative, I thought. This here's my new boat. It's a Bass Tracker TX17 from the 80s. I got her crammed in the garage right now. You can see it's a little bit of a tight fit. The motor is up against the wall back there because she's a little bit long. I used to have an old Sea Ray, and frankly it was just too large for what I wanted. So some may say I downgraded, but in my mind I upgraded to this Bass Tracker. It's an aluminum, it's a flat bottom. It is the tournament edition, the TX. And I got this thing from a guy that really cared about his stuff and maintained it really good. He was just moving out of the state and didn't want to bring it to a saltwater state. And so he sold it to me for a pretty good deal. Let me show you some of the stuff it's got. It's got this Minn Kota Power Drive V2, which is perfect for this boat. It came with a foot pedal and a remote. I prefer the hand remote because I find it easier to do the directional tracking and speed and spot lock and all that stuff, which that power drive has, which is awesome. The spot lock is super cool. If you've never used one with spot lock before, basically you can set your trolling motor down, hit the anchor button, and it'll stay in one spot based on GPS, regardless of wind or current or anything. It'll just hold you right where you were at. Super convenient when you find that good spot, or when you're in some shallow water or places where you might easily get blown into a tricky situation. It's also got the directional tracking and the cruise control, so you can, rather than just set a power output, you can pick a speed like 1/2 mile an hour for going up the banks, or a mile and a half an hour for trolling, or whatever you'd like to do. It came with this Hummingbird up front, but this unit is dead, so this eventually will get replaced for something nicer, hopefully. It came with this seat, which is nice because you can take out this extension and set it all the way down while you're moving, or you can put a second extension in it and raise it up even higher. It also came with that more standard style fishing seat, but a majority of the time I do not bring these out with me because I just stand up. I'm not usually out long enough where I really need to sit down. You got your 2 tackle compartments up front. Mine's kind of empty right now, but that's where I keep my tackle boxes, and then my box with the trolling motor, remote control, all that kind of stuff. Coming around to the middle here, you got 3 rod holders on the side, 3 vertical rod holders there, and then you can pop this guy open, and that has 3 more rod holders, which I'll probably just cut that wall out up there and just make this like a rod locker in general, so I can fit like 10 or so rods in here. I've got the Hummingbird Helix 5 on here for navigation. Pretty handy. It's got your water temp and depth and a couple charts, which is nice. When I bought the boat, he left me the Great Lakes SD card with it, which is real neat because where I live, that covers pretty much all the lakes around me. And it's also got a pretty decent fish finder when you're out in that deeper water. Nothing too fancy like any of the live stuff, but it is pretty handy. Coming up to the console here, it's got all the original gauges still. Everything still works. Everything looks pretty new. Like I said, the guy took really good care of it. Even the flasher still works, which I don't use much, but I've heard that it's pretty rare when they still work. It's basically just another depth finder. You flip that switch and then your second beam over here will tell you the depth. And then I installed this temperature gauge because the alarm system was faulty or having some trouble, and so rather than wonder if the alarm system was right or if my temperature was overheating, I just put in a temp sensor. That way I don't have to question it. Moving on further back, I got my 11-gallon plastic tank here. When I bought it, it had 2 6-gallon metal tanks, which were fine and dandy, but I figured this eliminating it and going to this one would be better, which also freed up room to install this Pro Mariner battery tender, battery charger system thing, which is pretty nice because then you don't have to mess with moving a battery charger to your boat every time. When you park it, you just pull the plug out, plug it into the wall, and you're good to go. And speaking of batteries, I got 3 of them. They are tucked up here underneath the floor. Convenient spot for them, but I would have to pull the gas tank if I ever go to change these batteries, which eventually, of course, I will have to. And the most important part of the back, of course, your Bass Pro Shop's emergency order for when you get in them tight spots and nothing works. Last but not least, of course, back here we've got our Mercury 70 horse oil injected 2-stroke motor. She is actually no longer oil injected. That has been deleted. Now you just put mixed gas in the tank, which saves a potential disaster if your oil injector ever stops working or your tank runs dry or anything like that. And she has been running just fine for me ever since I got her. If she ever does go on me, it'll be a tough decision whether I just get it rebuilt or if I upgrade to a 4-stroke or a higher horsepower, something like that. Of course, weight is your tightest restriction here on the back, because me being not a lighter individual, and then the buddies I enjoy fishing with are also not lighter individuals. By the time you factor that in, there's not much remaining weight limit for extra motor weight. But for now, she runs just dandy, so we will not worry about that. Couple additional little details here. You've got a trim switch right here to bump the motor up and down for storage. Convenient that it's right back here. So when you put that transom saver in there, you don't have to walk back and forth. You then, of course, have another one on your throttle and one more up here for if you get in a tricky spot while you're fishing on the front deck, get into some shallow water or see a underwater tree or rock or something, you can raise that motor out of the water and keep it out of danger and other such things. On your throttle up here, of course, you got your kill switch with your little clip on a string there, which you should always wear, because if you've ever seen videos of runaway boats and stuff like that, that's not a situation you want to get into. Then your key up here to apply choke, you press your key in and this little button goes in here, and that's how you activate the choke. Then you pull this guy up for some additional throttle at idle. Makes it a little easier to start these 2 strokes. So there you have it, folks. There's the new Bass Tracker, the TX17, 17-foot long flat bottom. It is perfect for what I want. And it was a real reasonable price, I gotta say. So if you're considering getting an older boat, just make sure you look it over, make sure you're getting a good deal, make sure it was well taken care of and all that kind of stuff, unless you want to do a lot of repairs. I got enough other projects going on. I don't have time for a ton of repairs on this. So this is perfect for what I needed. So thanks for watching. We will see more on this in the future, and I'll catch you in the next one.